Let's face it, running in our 40s is not the same as running in our 20s. Our joints are a little stiffer, recovery takes a little longer, and if we're not careful, we can become injured. But here's the good news. You don't have to give up running, and you don't have to live with pain. You just need to train smarter. And today I'm going to share with you some tips that I've used and others have used to help them run pain-free into their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. Let's get into it. Welcome to Dangerous Runner. I'm Ralph. I'm all about helping you have a fun, safe, and healthy running life. And I appreciate you being here today. Thank you. Now, tip number one is to warm up smarter. You know, when you're in your 20s, you might have been able to lace up your running shoes, hit the road right away, and be fine, and life is good. But when you get older, when you get over your 40s, that's not the case. You really need to be doing dynamic warm-ups. And when we say dynamic, we mean movement. Don't do static stretches. Don't do that. That increases the risk of injury during your run. You want to be dynamic. You want to do movement. And you really want to focus, of course, on your lower body. So you want to do things like I do. I do leg swings, do squats, do jumping jacks. Skipping is a great warm-up exercise. You may feel a little funny going out on the road and skipping, but it's a great warm-up exercise. And even brisk walking for 3 to 5 minutes. All that's meant to loosen up your joints, activate your muscles, get your heart rate up a little bit, and get you prepared for running and reduce that risk of injury early in your run. Now, tip number 2 is embrace the walk break. Now, a lot of runners think walking is a sign of weakness, and that's nonsense. And if you've watched any of my videos or been around my channel for a while, you know I'm a big proponent, big supporter of the Jeff Galloway One Walk Run, because taking those walk breaks does several things for us. Taking a walk break lowers the impact on your body, allows your muscles to get some brief recovery during your run, and will actually allow you to run longer and farther with less fatigue. Now, I have a lot of videos on Run, Walk, Run, the right intervals, right ratios, and I'll link to those down in the description. But embrace the walk break, do Run, Walk, Run, and you'll greatly reduce the risk of injury. Now, tip number 3 is know the difference between discomfort and pain. And when you go out and do a run, especially after a run, especially after a long run, you'll be sore the next day, next couple days, and that's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. That's almost to be expected. But if you start having sharp pains or acute pain, especially in your joints, your knees, your hips, those running areas of your body, that's when you need to be very careful. You don't want to push through pain. You may hear, talk out there, well, just push through it. Don't worry about it. It's the absolute wrong thing you can do, especially if you're over 40. Now, if you aggravate an injury, you get an injury, that's going to stop you from running for weeks, if not months. So it's very careful. If you think you're injuring yourself, hurting yourself, stop, give yourself a chance to recover, and you'll be better off in the long run. Ignoring pain only makes things worse. Respect your limits, know your limits, and you'll be better off in the long run. So tip number 3 is prioritize recovery. When we talk about training, we often talk about how long am I going to run, how often am I going to run, how far am I going to run, how fast, and so forth. We don't often talk a lot about recovery. And recovery is just as important as any other aspect of your running life because that's when your body repairs itself. And there's really 4 key things I want to mention to remind you of. First one is being sleep, because sleep is where your body actually heals itself. It's where it actually does most of its recovery. So you want to shoot for that 7 to 9 hours. Hydration. If you're dehydrated, your joints are stiff and it actually slows the recovery process. So when you're not running, make sure you get plenty of water, get plenty of hydration. And the next key aspect of recovery is the rest days. Make sure you give yourself those rest days. I rarely, if ever, run 2 days in a row. That's me, especially at my age. I know I need that day of rest in between. Make sure you get that rest. You just need that downtime for your body to recover and heal. So last thing is foam rolling and stretching. That can keep your joints aligned, keep your muscles stretched, keep them activated. Think about doing that not only post-run, but also in between your runs. Just do a little stretching, a little foam rolling. When you're recovered well, your runs will feel amazing, but if you're not recovered, they're going to be drudgery, they're going to be hard. Tip number 5 is strength training is your secret weapon. If there's one thing I think that's helped me, in reducing my risk of injury, and it's strength training. I only go to the gym maybe once a week. I always shoot for twice a week, but I try to get there once a week. And I try to focus on those muscles of my lower body. I'll exercise my glutes, my hamstrings, my calves. I'll do those kinds of exercises. And it doesn't have to be a lot of weight. It just needs to be consistent. Use some kind of resistance, work those muscles. Because strength training kind of works your muscles maybe a little differently than when you're running, strengthens them, makes them stronger, makes it less likely you're going to injure yourself. As I said, you don't need to lift heavy weights, but you need to do something, whether it's a resistance or a weight-bearing exercise with the lower part of your body. Now, tip number 5, cross-training is often underrated. We need to do things other than just running. That's of an aerobic or an active nature. Lots of things you can do. You can bike, you can swim. Hiking is great, especially if you got some hills around you. Hiking up hills really works those muscles. Even walking is a good alternate exercise because we're using our muscles in a different way and we're still building cardiovascular fitness. So think about when you're not running, doing some other type of activity, some type of aerobic activity that'll help strengthen you and again reduce the risk of injury. Now my last tip for reducing your risk of injury is get the right shoes and watch your form. I often recommend, if you don't have a pair of running shoes you already like, go to a running shoe store. They have experts there. They'll watch you run. They'll help you find a shoe that might work best for you. That's so important to get the right support, the right cushion that you need for your body. And of course, we always want to watch our form because often I find that if I start getting some extra soreness, it's like I wasn't watching my form. And it's a very simple thing. Stand tall, look down the road, don't look at your feet. Keep your arms swinging forward, shorten up your stride, do those things that you know you need to do, but kind of give yourself a self-check every couple of minutes. How's my form? How's it going? Pair that with the right pair of shoes. That'll go a long ways to helping your run not only be more enjoyable, but reducing the risk of hurting yourself. So running over 40 doesn't have to hurt. In fact, it can be some of the most rewarding things you can do in your life. So let's review these 7 tips real quick. First one is, of course, warm up properly. Do that dynamic warm up. Use walk breaks. Embrace the run, walk, run method. Give yourself some recovery during your run. Know your body's signals. If you think you're hurting or you're getting an injury, stop and let yourself recover from that. Prioritize recovery. Give yourself the rest days. Stay hydrated. Get enough sleep. Strength train. Work your lower leg muscles in different ways through strength training. Cross train. Do other types of activity, aerobic activity, such as walking, biking, swimming. And finally, wear the right shoes and watch your form. You do those 7 things, and that'll go a long ways to keeping you injury-free and make your running strong, healthy, and enjoyable. Hey, if you enjoy my videos, you enjoy these running tips, please consider subscribing. Hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, I'd love it if you hit the like button also. Thank you so much for being here today. Stay strong, stay healthy, and happy running.